Well, hello there, YouTube. I guess some of you may be wondering where we've been. So, it's been a while since we put out a video, and there are a few reasons for that. So, the last video we put out was a fishing trip where Tracy and Kristen went with us. And right after that, deer season started. So that was really kind of reason number one. Work picked up, so that was reason number two. And I had to have 3 procedures done over the summer and right after our rifle season started here in North Carolina. So I had a little bit of recovery time with that, but everything's fine. Also, the holidays hit. I did take Kristen hunting one day, but I have not filmed any hunts. And so I'm going to tell you guys the story while I'm doing this. I've been doing a lot of cleanup today from deer season, making sure there were no batteries in the cameras, saving good batteries, and throwing out old ones, which is a lot of what's in here. Putting up stuff that needed to be put up, like the seats and shooting rail pads for deer stands. So putting all that stuff away today and cleaning out the truck, and thought I would do a video to explain the main reason why we have not done any videos lately, and that is mostly because of poachers and trespassers. So I decided to stop doing hunting videos because people were actually using the videos to find my hunting spots. Local guys who know what I drive, they'll check out the spot, they'll scout it out. Some of them have even been in my deer stands. I know that for a fact. They've driven their 4-wheelers right up to my deer stands, and what they're doing is they're watching the videos and they are finding my vehicle, and they're using the video to figure out where I shot a deer at, or where Rodney shot a deer at, or where Owen shot a deer at. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if they're not actually finding the deer stand and say, yeah, this is the deer stand I think he shot him from, and climbing up in the deer stand with the video on their phone and confirming that what they're seeing on the phone is what they're actually seeing from the deer stand. They're holding up their phone with the video on, going, yep, that's exactly where he shot that deer. There are 1 or 2 that are not that difficult to get to, but most of them are pretty far back off the road. They have to do a lot of snooping around to find them. So I'm going to continue with my cleanup here, straighten up some stuff. There's a bunch of dead batteries in here I need to get rid of and straighten out some straps, but I'm going to continue with this while we finish going over this story. All right, had to take a little dinner break there, but I'm back. I know the background noise is going to be terrible, so I'm going to cut the heater off, but the high was like 38 degrees today, and we've been getting down in the 20s at night, low 20s. It's been pretty cold here, so did have to run the heat for a little while. You're going to hear a little bit of noise from the refrigerator there. It just kicked on. To continue the story, the poaching and trespassing were the main reasons that we did not film any hunting videos this year. But we do enjoy sharing the videos with people and bringing you guys along. I enjoy doing them. I enjoy the editing, and I enjoy sharing the experience. And we had a really, really cool deer season. It took me until the 11th hour to finally get the job done. So for the first several trips, outings in the deer stand. I did record intros, but it's hard to make a hunting video without giving away your hunting spot. So for that reason, I'm not even going to show a picture of the deer that I shot. Rodney killed a doe, and his son killed his first buck, which was really cool, and first deer ever, really. And I can't even show pictures of those deer because people will use that to figure out where we harvested those animals. So, for example, local people, if I show a picture of the deer that we took this year, they'll say, hey, I recognize that deer. I had him on camera like a week before that on one of my spots, which is over on such and such road. And then they'll go snooping around and scouting out on my spot, figure out exactly where I was sitting when I took the deer. Even if it's not adjacent to a spot they have permission to hunt, they will try to gain permission to that spot and either take it outright from under me, or in the least, they will try to gain permission to the adjacent property. If they are able to gain permission to the adjacent property, they'll set up deer stands right on the property line. I have pictures, which I'll throw in here now. So, I was actually recording intros to all of my hunts at the beginning of the season until I climbed up in a deer stand one morning. The sun came up and I realized that there were two deer stands right on the property line, 225 yards away from me, overlooking the field that my deer stand was overlooking. One of them was a bow stand, so they had been bow hunting over my property since bow season started. I didn't bow hunt this year. I didn't have anything on camera during bow season that I felt like I could go after. In fact, I let go plenty of deer this year that I feel like will be much better deer within the next year or two that most people would have shot. So at that point, I decided that since I had to show a lot of what I was doing with blurred out background like this, there's literally nothing that I could film that would be of any kind of entertainment value. I may record some hunting videos if I'm an hour away, if I'm somewhere where I know nobody is going to be able to identify my vehicle somewhere far off. A lot of the spots I hunt, my vehicle's parked near the road because I walk everywhere I go. I walk a lot. Now I know folks that park within 100 yards of their deer stand and walk the rest of the way. That's not me. Now getting back to the deer that I took this year, I took him in a spot that is gated. The driveway is about a half mile long through the woods, so where we park, nobody can see it. The only people that have a key to that gate are me and Johnny and the landowner. We just started hunting it about 4 years ago and nobody knows about it. And I will continue to keep it clandestine So I'm not even going to show a picture of the deer. He was a nice deer. I was happy to get him. It was literally, so this all started last year, about 2 weeks into rifle season. We had a blind set up, and we did have a pile of sweet potatoes out there in North Carolina. It is legal to bait, and we don't do it everywhere, but we do it where we have to do it. Rodney was out there and didn't see anything all morning, which was unusual because we had been staying out of that spot because we had been seeing plenty on the camera. About 10:30, Rodney gets up, 10:30, 11 o'clock, something like that. I'm across the street. He walks down to the end of the shooting lane and looks to his right, and there's a deer stand right on the property line. This particular fellow put up a deer stand on the adjacent property, which he had just gained permission to hunt that year because I hunted it for 18 years beforehand and it changed hands. So he gains permission to hunt there because, of course, he's seen the videos, and he puts up a ladder stand right on the property line. The ditch is exactly on the property line, and he put the ladder of the stand in the middle of the ditch. So I thought, you know what? What's good for the goose is good for the gander. It was obvious that he was hunting over our spot. He put it up where he could see the end of our shooting lane and the quarter ton of sweet potatoes we had out there. He was about 80 to 100 yards from the end of that lane, off to the side, but he had a clear shot of it. So I went down the property line, putting up posted signs on trees on my side of the ditch, just so the next time he went down there, he would know, hey, there's somebody hunting here. You know, we're a few weeks into deer season, and you've decided already that the other 130 some acres of property that you have to hunt on the other side of this ditch isn't good enough. So now you have to hunt over mine. So I put the signs up thinking, you know, he's going to see it. He's going to be like, maybe he'll think, you know, I didn't realize somebody was hunting here. I was giving him too much benefit of the doubt. So of course he goes back and whines to the property owner about it. What all of these idiots don't know is I know everyone around there. I've been friends with them for many years. Good friends with most of them. So that particular property owner called me, apologized, and told me that they had no idea that the person they were letting hunt there would do that. It was obvious that they were purposefully trying, not only putting a deer stand right on the property line, that they were trying to hunt over my property. And they assured me that as soon as they got off the phone with me, they were going to call the hunter and let him know that he was moving that deer stand tomorrow, and that if he didn't move it, they would move it. And that if they had to go get it themselves, that he would not be allowed to hunt there anymore. So I went down there a couple days later, and the deer stand was moved. And I really appreciated that. You know, it could have gone the other way. Having permission to hunt on a property doesn't mean that you have permission to put up a deer stand on that property and shoot deer on the other property because you had permission to hunt where your deer stand is set up. It doesn't work that way. That was taken care of, and the guy's deer stand is still there where he moved it to. He did move it off the property line. Excuse me. I know it's still there because you can see it from the road. So moving on from that, later in the year, we had a buck showing up on camera. We had a cell cam in another spot that is way off the road. It's like a mile off the road. And Rodney shot a deer down there. Not a huge deer, a nice deer. His first racked buck. It's only the second deer he'd ever taken. We had been down there before when there were four-wheeler tracks going right to that deer stand. I guess people think that we're stupid. We don't see their four-wheeler tracks. I mean, maybe they don't think that the track is that obvious. So they then proceeded to try and get the place out from under us. And it's a place that is owned by one of my best friends. He was the best man in my wedding when Tiff and I were married in 2020. He was pretty infuriated that they went to his 87-year-old mother and lied to her and got her to rent it to him. So we had to deal with that. So this year, you know, like I said, I'm filming intros and go to hunt this stand one morning, and sun comes up, and all of a sudden there's a deer stand over there right on the property line, 2 of them. So I contacted that property owner. I told him what was going on, and I was like, you know, this is really a safety issue. They're pointed right over my field. I know they're hunting over my field. I know they've scouted it out. I know they've been on the property. This is a safety issue for me because they don't know where I am down there. I could be in the big deer stand that they saw when they put their deer stands up, but I could be down in the woods there and they shoot at a deer in my field. And if they miss, is it going to get me? Maybe. I could be walking out. You know, I could be dragging a deer out. You don't know. He says, you know, I totally understand. I sent him a on-X screenshot of where these deer stands were located, where mine's located. So the guy understood my concerns and he agreed with me. He said, look, I'm going to call the guy. I'm going to tell him to move that. That is just unacceptable. I really appreciated his cooperation. And he said, you know, give it a few days. He called me back. He said, you know, the guy said he's going to move it, you know, by the weekend. Let me know if he doesn't. So I gave him a few extra days, and I went over there like on a Tuesday, and the stands weren't moved. What he did was he went in there and laid one of them on the ground. He thought that I wouldn't be able to see it from my deer stand. Thought if he just laid it down, he could just go back in there and stand it up and hunt out of it anytime he wanted to, or that we would just forget about it and he could go back in there later and put it up next year. He wouldn't have to haul it in and out. So anyway, I call the guy back. I'm like, look, you know, the boy didn't move the stands. They're still there. He said, okay, I'll take care of it. So he calls me back a little while later. He's like, you know, he wants you to call him. So I called the guy. I was very nice with him. You know, I offered to help him. I had offered to help him when I talked to the landowner. He said, yeah, I may need some help. I said, look, we'll pick out a good spot on your property. You know, there's like 600 and some acres. And on that particular property. And I offered to help him, you know, move his stands, cut shooting lanes, whatever he wanted, you know, check out the deer sign. He said, well, I'll go in there and move the stands by Thanksgiving. At this point, it had been like 3 weeks. I said, okay, no problem. Thanksgiving come and went. No stands moved. So I had a conversation with somebody else who informed me, well, I gathered from this conversation that he never had any intentions of moving the deer stands, and that he felt like that as long as he was sitting in a deer stand on the property where he had permission to hunt, that he could legally hunt over my property, which is posted all the way around. And has been since 2009. So that was pretty discouraging. So I did not contact the landowner again. I thought, you know, I'll just wait until after deer season. I thought, you know, I'll just keep doing what I do, try to put myself in the right spot at the right time to take a nice deer. I only really shoot one a year now because the boys are in college. We used to eat between 5 and 7 deer a year at our house, and since they graduated from high school, we might eat one a year between me and Tiff. So I was still just looking for one decent buck to take. So I thought, I'll just, concentrate on deer season, try and put myself in the right spot at the right time, which I did, and it worked out, which I'm very thankful for. So I talked to the boy again later, and I come to find out now that the property owners have done away with the deer hunting on their property. I talked to the property owners. They seem to be very reasonable. And when I told them about what was going on over there, they were pretty upset about it. They even offered to kick those hunters off and give me written permission to hunt it so that I could hunt their property. I turned them down. I told them, I don't want to take anybody's hunting spot from them. I just don't want them encroaching on my hunting spot. And that I appreciated the offer, but if they would just move the deer stands, that would be fine. And had he moved those deer stands when the property owner asked him to, I have all ideas that he would have been allowed to continue hunting there. But the fact that he lied to the landowner and told him he would move the deer stands and didn't twice, and lied to me and told me that he would move the deer stands and didn't, I think did not sit very well with the property owner. And I feel like those people got themselves kicked off of their own deer hunting spot. So the GoPro battery died, so I'm hoping it caught all that. But at any rate, in the old days, people had lots of kids to help work the farm, and when they passed away, they passed these farms on to 8 or 9 or 10 different kids. So now everybody, instead of hunting 150 or 300 acre blocks, they're hunting 50 acre blocks or 80 acre blocks or 30 acre blocks. I've got one spot that's 11 acres. So if you happen to take a deer on an adjacent property to where I hunt and you don't know me, go in there and get him and drag him out. Everybody has to do it from time to time. I'm no different. If you know me and you want to call and say, hey, I'm going over there to get a deer, are you around? Maybe you need help tracking him. Maybe you're by yourself. You can't get a four-wheeler to him. You've got to drag him a long way. I don't mind helping. As long as you're hunting on your property and taking deer on your property, I don't mind. It has been a struggle the last couple of years, and it's because of the videos. I know that the locals are watching the videos, and I know that this year in particular, they watched a video where I filmed deer, a buck and a doe, and I didn't feel like that the buck was old enough to take. And of course they thought, wow, that's, bigger than any deer I've ever killed. So I'm gonna go over there and scout it out and put up a deer stand right there where that deer was. So I feel like we've had an issue with poaching for a while. You got to keep in mind that, in any local area, pretty much all the deer hunters know each other. Well, when you have deer that are consistently on your spot, and then all of a sudden they disappear, whether or not you have shared a camera photo with your buddies, there's a pretty good chance that that deer was taken at night, and whoever got him doesn't want anybody to know about it, because, if he were taken legally, the first thing most people do is send it to all their buddies. On 2 occasions, I have found deer on my property that were shot probably at night. Our deer season goes out January 1st, but our small game season stays in until the end of February. On both of these occasions, I was actually on those properties squirrel hunting and come across a deer that had been shot, made it to the wood line, and expired there. I have a pretty good idea that it happened to a couple of other deer that I had on camera recently in 2021 and in 2023. Moving forward, there won't be many hunting videos at all unless I'm somewhere far away from my normal personal hunting spots. I hope maybe This is sort of a trainer for those of you who are thinking about being unneighborly to your hunting neighbors. You know, you need to approach it as sort of a team effort and work together. Your hunting will be much more successful. Don't just try to go and, you know, bust in on somebody's hunting spot because you heard they shot a nice buck there and you've seen their truck out there before. It's common, and it gives hunters a bad rap, and it may even wind up getting you thrown out of your hunting spot. So be neighborly and be nice. And if you have an issue, talk to the landowner and be as nice as you can about it. Try to work it out. You know, if you can't work it out with the hunter, try and work it out with the landowner, but be nice. And try and come to a solution that everybody can live with. You know, enjoy the woods and be safe. You know, everybody goes out there to have a good time and enjoy the outdoors. So it's not just for you to enjoy. Make it enjoyable for you and your neighbors. People do stupid things over a deer, and some people do stupid things over a turkey, and some people do stupid things over fishing spots. Try to be nice year round. You know, don't just be nice and, you know, kind to people during the off season. Be nice and kind to people during deer season. I hate that fellow deer hunters have taken the fun out of this for me, but that's just the way some people are. All I can say is just try not to be those people. Try to work together and make it just as enjoyable for your neighbors as it is for you. With that, I'm going to close this video now, and I appreciate you guys watching. See you next time.
All right, guys. Today is the first day of the North Carolina muzzleloader season. All right, YouTube, today is Monday, September 30th. This is the third day of the North Carolina muzzleloader season. All right, YouTube, today is Friday, October 4th. All right, YouTube, today is Thursday, October the 10th. All right, YouTube, today is October the 12th, 2024. It's Saturday. Today is opening day of rifle season in North Carolina. So today is Thursday, October 17th. All right, YouTube, today is Sunday, October 27th. All right, YouTube. All right, YouTube, today is Monday, October 28th.